Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back for our stitch along, and we are going to be moving on to a fun little project to create a cutwork embroidery heart. So I'll give you a quick look at the book. So the finished product we're going to come up with is a heart with this cut out area where you can sort of see the brown, and around that is going to be blanket stitch. Now I think I'm going to use this little heart cookie cutter as my shape to draw around. So I'm going to use my friction marker, which erases with heat. And then I'm going to draw a, just fill in the outline where the pen didn't take as well. And then I'm going to draw an inner heart within this. And the thing is, you can erase it. I drew a slightly smaller one first and I've erased that. And now I'm just thought I'd do it on camera so you can see my truly bodgy sketching abilities. So I'll just make that one a little bit more rounded up there. And then we're going to draw a little bridge down here and a bridge down here. Put a bridge across here and a bridge at the equal side over here, and then I think a bridge about equally down here-ish. And it's all right to make these a bit thicker because you'll be actually taking some little holding stitches and the blanket stitch will be kind of sitting over that area. So I think that will work pretty well. Now I will put this in my hoop because it might just make it a bit easier to see and a bit easier to stitch. And I'm going to use this thicker pink perle cotton. I think if I used a thin one it would take too long on a heart of this size, but I wanted to make a heart that was easy enough to see. You could definitely draw yourself a smaller heart, but you just need these sort of elements drawn in. And then we're going to start off by just doing a running stitch from this bottom here up to, hopefully you can't hear my iron going hiss like a dragon. So because I've got quite a thick thread, I'm having to use a bigger needle. I think it should be okay. Thought it might be fun to use this fabric, which I recently used for a little tag in one of my stitchery swap squares for the lovely Melinda. And I don't think I've used this fabric for myself, so I thought this is a nice way to keep a little bit of it. So what we're now going to do is take a stitch across the top of the fabric to the other side of the heart, and then we're just going to take a little nip into the fabric over here with our needle, a smaller nip. It's hard when you've got a big needle like this to get a small nip like that. So just got a little nip of the fabric, and then we're going to come back over to this side, do a little stitch over this side, and then take another one back over. So now and then we'll do another little stitch on this side, which will give us 3 threads across that little bridge. And now we're going to start to do our blanket stitch. Just over the actual bridge thread, so not through the fabric itself. Oops, nope, did that one wrong. I didn't hold my thread in the right place. So yeah, there's a separate video on blanket stitch if you haven't done that before. And as you can see, that's just coating those 3 threads that sit across. Oops. So let's go back. What did I do there? Got myself a bit twisted. Let's just take it back a step. Let's go back to where we were. Okay, so we're going to put our final blanket stitch coming back this way, like that. So once we're back to that side, we're going to continue working running stitch and the blanket stitch bars around the outer section. I guess I'll just put my next little running stitch in there. I think the stab method will be a bit easier than with this needle than trying to sort of pass it through from the surface. Now we're here, so I'm going to pop my needle out. I'm going to take my needle across and put that little anchoring stitch in this side. So just taking a little nip of the fabric. Then going to come back across to this side, take a little nip of the fabric over here. If I can. Maybe more than one thread would be better. And then back over here to take another little nip of the fabric. So that gives us our 3 threads across there, and then we're going to work our blanket stitch. Yeah, I'm much more used to working my blanket stitch in the other direction. It's funny, it feels a bit counterintuitive this way. But yeah, as I say, you're not capturing the fabric here, you're just doing your blanket stitch over the actual threads that sit on top of the surface. Okay, so we're back to the other side, and we will continue on our way with our a running stitch till we get to the next bridge. So this one could be great for the current Roxy Journal of Stitchery prompt for heart. You could add it to whatever fabric you want it, do it whatever size you want. Do our next bridge, so go over to the center, take a little nip of fabric, back over here, take a nip of fabric, back to the center, nip, and then we will do our blanket stitch. one more. Oops, sometimes they'll try and just sort of slip further down, but just position them where you want them to lay there. Okay, and then back into recommence our running stitch. So I think we'll get all our running stitch done, and then we might see if we do a separate episode or do a longer video. We'll just have a look, because we're already at the 10-minute mark. I try and not make these daily videos too long. Just want them to be a nice little bit of stitching to get done. Just got 3 more bars to do here anyway. And I like to show you the full process in these videos rather than fast forwarding or cutting out or anything. Because ideally you can just be, stitching along. If you go faster than me, then hopefully you don't have to wait too long for me to catch up. Okay, we're going to do our next bar. Take a nip of our fabric at the centre. Back to this side and a nip of fabric here as well. And back to the centre. Then doing our blanket stitch over our 3 threads. Oops, that one's gone a bit further along. Get it back to where you want it to sit down. Just a couple more here, I think. There we go. And then back to our running stitch. I've not done cutwork embroidery before. I've admired it very often on all my antique and vintage doilies and other pieces, handmade pieces. Okay. Next bridge, so we pop up here, back to the center. Just doing your blanket stitch. Okay, and then we'll just do our running stitch down to the bottom. Try doing it this way, see how it goes. do our final bar down here. Taking our little nip down here and then our other little nip back at the centre. And then we do our blanket stitch over here. Oops, now we're going to get caught on our embroidery hoop clasp. And that one, let's just get it to sit where we want it to sit. Okay, and then we're just going to come down here and put another stitch in here. A few more blanket stitches and then we will be done on those, and then we'll just go round and do our, oops, just managed to unthread, never mind. Oops, and it's not in the right place, is it? Okay, just let's rethread for our last few bits. Okay, and now we go down, and now we just need to do our running stitch around the inside. So I think I probably, no, I think that should be okay. So it should sit behind the other even when it's all cut out. So my belly's grumbling away there because it is almost lunchtime here. We're just going to finish the stitches around here. So I hope you are having a lovely weekend yourself. I think you'll be watching this on Sunday night. And then we'll come back on a Monday night to do the rest of the blanket stitching all around the outline. Okay, almost done. It's amazing with stitching, you just never, when you're doing it, it just, yeah, time passes, but you don't feel like you've sort of been stitching there. But 19 minutes already, my goodness. So yeah, definitely glad I went with a thicker thread for this larger shape. Okay, so I'm just going to draw it then to a close with that, but that's got our bars all in place in blanket stitch, and they are what will yeah, sort of hold the piece together when we do these cutouts of these inner sections here. But we'll come back tomorrow and we will finish doing blanket stitching all around. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.